Ricciardo, Raikkonen, Alonso and Verstappen, all very, very good drivers in top teams, have been knocked out in Q2 because they didn't set a lap on the soft tyres. Look at that! The top two rows of the starting grid have been taken by Williams and Force India. Grosjean in 19th, Magnussen in 18th, and the Portuguese Grand Prix is underway. Magnussen has done brilliantly well, to be honest. He's in 12th. He's made up 6 places from his qualifying position. That's better than the position a lap. Oh my god! It's happened again. I swear that happened in the last race, where there's been a mistake in the pits with fitting on new tyres. Well, there you go. Oh, actually, Grosjean's pit stop has now gone wrong. From the start, it was a battle between Force India and Williams. Williams, they had the advantage. They qualified first and third. Felipe Massa had pole position. Unfortunately, though, he's lost it. He's 4.4 seconds down on Sergio Perez. Perez has done brilliantly. So, in the equal Formula 1 Cars Championship, sure, the qualifying was completely insane, but Perez, he capitalised on that to qualify second and finish first, setting the fastest lap of the Grand Prix as he wins the Portuguese Grand Prix. From Felipe Massa in second, Esteban Ocon right at the end has just taken third place from Fernando Alonso. Right then guys, it's PSL here, and I'm here for part 6 in my Motorsport Manager series, here where we're doing the Equal Formula 1 Cars Championship. Now we've got the South African Grand Prix coming up around Cape Town, and that's following the extremely disappointing Portuguese Grand Prix, and I forgot that the scroll wheel does absolutely nothing. But yes, the last Grand Prix we finished second to last and last, but that was because of our pit crew. Not to say we were really going to get a decent result even without the pit stop errors, but honestly, I don't really want to talk about the previous race. Drivers' Championship, just a reminder, Sergio Perez is leading currently from Vettel, Ocon, Hamilton, Alonso in 5th, Massa is in 6th. And then you've got Carlos Sainz, who's won a race but is all the way down in 8th because he won the first race of the season, that really strange wet to dry race, which, well, I mean, he gained a lot of places through that race because of people doing quite questionable strategies, but even then Sainz still would have scored some points even without that, but still. Anyway, he's got 25 points and those are the only points he has scored. Grosjean's in 10th and Magnussen is second to last in the Drivers' Championship. And in the Teams' Championship, you've got Force India, Ferrari, Mercedes, McLaren, Williams, Red Bull. Pretty standard and expected, apart from Force India being on top. Oh, okay, Natalie Pinkham, she's diving right in with a very interesting question, basically asking for our thoughts on Sergio Perez and whether I would sign him in the future. Not really doing driver signings, but I definitely would. If I was just doing a normal Haas manager career mode, yeah, Sergio Perez is definitely someone I'd consider. Oh, but what'd you say? Nah, I say I'm happy with my 2 drivers, there you go. And I think that's it. But honestly, the only reason I've shown you that is because I don't think anything really interesting is going to happen between now and the start of the South African Grand Prix. I've already discussed everything, including the driver scouting, and anyway, we'll find out more and more drivers' ratings as we go on through this series, so there's nothing really I can comment on for the time being on that front. So, yes, unless anything comes up, it's on to the South African Grand Prix in this 2017 Equal Formula 1 Cars Championship. So then here are the practice results, and they're pretty normal and expected. Vettel from Raikkonen, from Verstappen, Hamilton, Palmer in 5th, but then again Palmer, well, Palmer, I don't think in the race he's ever been that good, but it's only because, well, Palmer always seems to favour the softest tyres, which I think is what screws him over in the race. Because in practice he's quite good, in qualifying he's okay. In the race he set the fastest lap at least once, at least in one race he set the fastest lap. But then again, Ericsson set the fastest lap briefly, at the very least, during the previous race. So, who knows? And the championship leader, Sergio Perez, is all the way down in 18th. Right then, so it's on to qualifying. We're going to simulate the first qualifying session as per usual. And right, so of course no lap times being set yet. Only, was it only a 10-minute session? Very brief. But anyway, Hamilton set the pace at the moment. Bottas is right up there, but he's slipping down the order. Magnussen all the way up into 8th, but something has become a trend the past few races. I don't know why. I don't know, but Romain Grosjean just not doing all that well in qualifying. He's got a decent setup. You know, I think both of our drivers, their setup, it's what, 97, 98% perfect. Yet, despite that, Magnussen's qualified at the moment. He's in 8th in Q1. But Romain Grosjean was eliminated along with Massa, Ocon, Palmer and Kvyat. So actually some slightly surprising eliminations there. So another 10-minute qualifying session here in Q2. Ericsson is qualifying the super soft, so he is all but eliminated. Although the chance of him making it through into Q3 was slim. I mean, he is last in the Drivers' Championship. Oh no, it's just started raining in qualifying, which means that there's no way anyone's going to possibly improve. And I think Magnussen, he was one of the last to set a lap in qualifying then. So I think Magnussen has been caught out by the conditions. Magnussen eliminated in 15th. I mean, that could have been alleviated if I actually did Q2 myself. But either way, well, 15th. That's not really Magnussen's fault. To be honest, all of the drivers who were eliminated here, I think all of them were just caught out by the conditions, honestly. So, Sainz, Stroll, Verline, Ericsson and Magnussen, I'm not going to rag on them too much because it was a changeable conditions qualifying session. So, yeah, there's no point going hard on any of them because I think most of them, if not all of them, were just caught out. Well, Lewis Hamilton, he's been the fastest driver in Q1 and Q2. Who was the fastest in practice? Vettel, I believe, was the fastest in practice. So, will that practice pace carry on into Q3? Perez is still in it. Both Red Bulls, Hülkenberg, both Ferraris, both Mercedes and both McLarens are in Q3. Hamilton setting the pace at the moment. Hülkenberg was briefly in 2nd, but he's now all the way down into 7th. Vettel is setting the pace 1.4 tenths of a second ahead of Lewis Hamilton. But they're all going out for one final lap, and this is it. This is the real crunch point. Verstappen's ran out of soft tyres. Vettel is setting purple sectors, and he's just improved massively. And Kimi Räikkönen has taken 2nd place away from Lewis Hamilton. It's an all-Ferrari front row. Hamilton 3rd, Verstappen 4th, Alonso 5th, Ricciardo 6th, and Bottas a bit disappointing to be down in 7th. Then you got Hülkenberg, Van Dorn, and the championship leader Sergio Perez all the way down in 10th. But looking at it, I think he ran out of brand new ultra soft tyres. So then I think I've decided on a strategy, or more accurately a pair of strategies, to give the team overall the best chance of scoring some points. Magnussen, he's going to be on super softs until the end, because fortunately I just about brought enough super soft tyres, because they can do, even if it's worst case scenario and they do 7 laps, that should, well, just about 7 1/3 laps is what we need, to be honest. Obviously you can't do 1/3 of a lap and then pit, but if we can do 7 laps twice and then 8 laps once, that should work for Magnussen. Grosjean is going to be on softs. He'll do 2 sets of softs and then the ultra softs. He'll probably end on the ultra softs. He certainly is starting on the softs anyway. So, yep, so we're splitting the strategies with our 2 drivers. Hopefully that should work. Do we want to push off the start? We certainly want to put up the engine mode. I'm pretty reluctant. No, we'll put up, I don't think tyre wear is too crucial for us. You've got to push off the start anyway, because or else you end up losing a lot of time. Okay, Lance Stroll starting on some worn ultra softs. I can't help but feel that that is a mistake. And then most people seem to be favouring the ultra softs. Both Saubers are starting on the softs. Yeah, the people right at the very back are starting on the softs. Yeah, if you're on the last 2 rows, you're on the softs. I believe Magnussen is the only guy starting on super softs. Yes, he is. But anyway, the 2017 South African Grand Prix, I got distracted then because I realised I was on 2D mode. But anyway, the 2017 South African Grand Prix is underway. Romain Grosjean in 19th, Kevin Magnussen in 14th, so 12th. Actually, things are going not quite well for Magnussen. Yes, they are, but of course he's competing with a load of people who are on worn Ultra Softs. And, in fact, to be honest, Magnussen is pretty much in the best position of anyone. Carlos Sainz is on some brand new Ultra Softs, but everyone else is either on slower tyres or more worn tyres. A very interesting track this. You got, well, going past the water fountain there, so that's nice. And Magnussen, a purple first sector. Does it just say that for everyone? It must do. It doesn't say it for Grosjean, so I think Magnussen was the quickest guy in the first sector. Well, there you go, what an achievement. But anyway, we're still not in the points place, regardless. Vettel, of course, setting the fastest lap, because he had less distance to do than everyone else. Hang on, how did Magnussen... I don't even know how Magnussen could even possibly do a faster first sector. Well, it depends how they timed it. Anyway, Magnussen, he's now meeting the sponsor objective. He's up into 9th place. I have to say, Magnussen is doing rather well, and Grosjean's doing okay for the time being. 15th place, Roman Grosjean is now in. We should probably stop pushing on our tyres. Seriously under fuel. I do want to try and keep the tyres. Here's the thing, I said about this in the previous episode, it's a catch-22. That if we push on the tyres, they wear down quicker, but if they get too cold, then they degrade faster anyway. Which is especially... This is the one good thing about having, about being at a circuit with quite soft tyre compounds, because Magnussen, with the super softs, I don't think the super softs will get cold. It will certainly take a long while for them to, and even Grosjean, who's on the hardest tyre compound, the softs aren't going too hard, oh no, sorry, they aren't getting too cold too quickly, so in terms of managing tyre temperatures, this race should be one of the easier ones, but for the time being, 8th and 15th, we're doing alright. Oh, and here we go, we got Sebastian Vettel charging his way through the field. He's now taken 3rd place on Magnussen, but of course, Magnussen hasn't stopped yet. And in fact, Massa's overtaken Magnussen once again. Last time that happened, Magnussen used a load of his ERS to get by. And I just noticed that Magnussen, well, we're going to have to bring him in at the end of the next lap. Yeah, we're going to have to, which means he's only done 7 laps on his tyres. I guess that's okay, considering that he pushed on them at the start. Still sticking with softs until the end. We could always put on a set of no, sorry, not super softs. We could always put on a set of softs if we need to. I'm praying. Look, there's only 11% risk of there being an issue in the pit stops. An 11% chance. So hopefully we don't have any pit stop issues. We had 2 in the past race. 50% of our pit stops went wrong last time out. Which I'm still annoyed about, because sure, we were doing dreadfully anyway, but that was something which is completely, well, largely out of my control, and it went wrong. But anyway, Magnussen coming into the pits from 3rd place, and he'll probably drop down to right towards the back. Yep, he's now in, what's that, 16th? 16th place, but he's going to use his ERS to get past Daniel Ricciardo. Right, well, Magnussen is certainly on the offensive. I'm not going to have a go for not trying. Grosjean we should probably bring in. It's way too early, though. We're going to have to convert him. Yeah, we're going to have to put him on Magnussen's strategy now. Yeah, we're going to have to. Because there's no way he can possibly do a one-stop. So Grosjean is now doing the same strategy as Magnussen. But that's good anyway, because it means that because Grosjean started on a harder tyre compound, he's now... Because of that, he's now a lap offset from Magnussen, whereas if they both started on the same tyres, we would probably have had to have double stacked. But because of that, Grosjean's now coming to the pits a lap later. Although he is in, what, stone dead last? No, someone's in last. Yeah, we've still got all 20 runners, and it's Stoffel Van Dorn who's in last place for the time being. But Grosjean has already made up a load of places. He's up into 16th. Julian Palmer directly ahead. He'll be coming into the pits. So actually, both of our drivers making lots of overtaking moves on the offensive, and we're certainly in contention for some points. Wow, what a move that was. Sure, it was sped up so it would have looked more dramatic. Magnussen pulling out the overtaking moves. He was able to squeeze his way past Massa. And he's up at 7th place. Well, he's past not only Massa, but also Daniel Ricciardo. It's just this circuit. I don't know whether it's the circuit, the tyres, whether we're managing the tyre temperatures successfully. So of course, I mean, what we did at the last Grand Prix, and probably a few others, was the worst thing you could possibly do, which is let the tyres get cold and then push on them. Because then you've got no pace and the tyres are wearing out quickly. So that was the worst thing you could possibly have done. I'm not gonna lie, I mean, I checked on Steam just before I went on this game. I played this game for 78 hours and I'm still bad at it. But again, normally, how I've progressed in this game is normally by making the rules as simple as possible, i.e. having only 2 dry tyre compounds, avoiding refueling, all this and that. I try and make the game as simple as possible, which is why I have the politician perk to have as many votes as possible. Kevin Magnussen is up into 14th. I forgot to tell Grosjean to come into the pits. This is the problem with playing... oh, we may as well recharge the battery. That's the problem with playing a game like this. Just missed the pit lane, I thought so. That's the problem with playing a game like this whilst talking. And also... probably tell our drivers to stop pushing now as well. That's the problem with playing a game like this whilst talking, is you end up, inevitably, you're going to miss stuff. Because either you concentrate on the game and then what you're saying isn't particularly interesting or insightful, or you try and think of something interesting to say and then you don't really play the game very well. And I think Grosjean held up Magnussen there slightly. I am so sorry, Grosjean. I'm so sorry I lost you time, but to be fair, you qualified in 19th, so you weren't doing all that well anyway. Magnussen in 12th place, he's just lost a place to Esteban Ocon. Vettel now setting the fastest lap of the Grand Prix as he's back on the Ultra Softs. Magnussen, he was looking very racy at the start, but now with just a few laps left to go, he's in 13th place. And I don't really see... he should be able to get past Ocon, because Ocon's tyres are extremely worn. Then you've got like Verline and Kvyat up ahead, whose their tyres are gone. Magnussen should just about be able to scrape a point, I reckon. Yeah, Magnussen, he's in 11th place and he's gone around the outside of that Force India driver, Esteban Ocon, whose tyres have gone. He's coming into the pits as Ocon. But anyway, Magnussen is in 10th. How much better can it get? Bottas is in 8th and his tyres are also not looking too good, but he's in the same position as Kevin Magnussen. Verline is moving up now. I mean, well, look at him. He's in 9th. He hasn't really got the car, but he certainly has got the tyres. Alonso is on the hardest tyres and they've gone. Alonso surely is going to have to come into the pits. Either that or he's going to be losing bags of time in these final couple of laps. Well, they haven't quite hit the 25% cliff yet. But Magnussen is going to score at least 1 point for the team. Well, that's good, but the thing is, though, Magnussen, his tyres are going to go off very soon. Yeah, Magnussen, he's got at least 10th place wrapped up. Grosjean is now in 16th. Should probably tell him to stop pushing. I was kind of hoping that a consolation would be that Grosjean would get the fastest lap, but I don't think that is going to be the case. As Verline tried to make a move on Valtteri Bottas. That didn't work, though, and Magnussen... no, Magnussen hasn't been able to do it on Verline. No, I think 10th place, we're just about going to miss out on the sponsor objective. Not like it matters, because we're making about $1.4 million a race anyway. And Sebastian Vettel has just won the South African Grand Prix with Hamilton in second. Raikkonen 30 seconds down on his teammate in third place. And Magnussen, please no, please no. Kevin Magnussen, the tyres went right to the end there. Well, Vettel won the race, but that was weird. I swear Magnussen's tyres... well, I did try and push him an extra lap, to be fair. Do you know what? There's very few times that I record YouTube videos and genuinely get embarrassed, but this series has just been full of embarrassing moments. So on to the championship standings, and as you can see, Sebastian Vettel is currently leading the Drivers' Championship, as him and Hamilton have now overtaken Sergio Perez in the Drivers' Championship. There's been a lot of movement, but I don't think any of it particularly substantial. Well, Valtteri Bottas, he's moved up a few places in the Drivers' Championship, but he's still down in 13th. which is just not that great for him, to be honest. And Max Verstappen, I think it was only 2 races ago that Max Verstappen hadn't scored any points at all, and now look, he's 14th for the Drivers' Championship on 17 points. Yeah, sure, he's not going to win the Drivers' Championship, or certainly he would need a run of amazing form to be able to do that, but 14th, I mean, he's overtaken Verline, Stroll, Kvyat, Palmer, Magnussen and Ericsson, which sure is hardly a list of brilliant Formula 1 drivers there, to be honest, but, well, it shows that Verstappen is finally improving. And if you look at the Teams' Championship, Ferrari, they've overtaken Force India, but Force India, they're still in second, ahead of Mercedes, and McLaren, they're ahead of Red Bull, Williams, Toro Rosso, and then it really is a different level, really, behind Toro Rosso, because then you've got the teams on 20 points, which is Haas, Renault and Sauber, and to be honest, well, Renault not so much, but certainly Sauber I think is the only team you can compare us to. Because in this game, in this mod, Haas are criminally underrated and the team's just nowhere near as good as it is in real life. Because Haas, Haas is always a tricky one. Haas in real life are probably, well, I don't know, probably akin to, they're probably slightly worse than Force India, Williams, Renault. You know, they're in that sort of group with them. The difference is well, no, actually no, that's not really true. But yeah, anyway, Haas, the point is Haas are criminally underrated in this mod, but, well, it makes sense I suppose, because or else Sauber would be the laughing stock otherwise. Even then, even with equal cars, they're still lost in the Teams' Championship. Sure, not by much, but the worrying thing is that people are starting to catch up on us, and 8th in the Teams' Championship, that's where we're expected to finish, that's where Gene Haas wants us to finish, it's where I told him we'd finish. So as long as we finish 8th, I'll consider this series a success. I don't know, to be fair, I was never aiming to win the championship, but I was aiming to do a bit better than this. But anyway, next time out we got the Canadian Grand Prix, and look at it, it's meant to be raining throughout the weekend, so who knows, a bit of rain always spices it up, and the last time we had a wet Grand Prix, we did remarkably well. Sure, we got lucky, but certainly the rain is going to open things up because, well, it's gonna reduce the effect of the differing tyre wears. So yes, I will see you guys next time for the Canadian Grand Prix, which hopefully can be interesting and a bit more exciting than the one we just saw around South Africa. So I'll see you then.